All right, good evening Australia and China, and good afternoon Holland. Could you please tell us where you're from by typing that on the chat box, please? My name is Wan Nisab, and I'm very pleased to welcome you all to our third webinar. We are freshly graduates from Master of Integrated Water Management from the University of Queensland, Australia, and now we are part of the International Water Centre Alumni Network. The purpose of this webinar is to share with you our experiences researching and writing our thesis, because we believe in information sharing, and that is why we would like to share what we have learned with you. So together we can keep learning and working together to achieve sustainable water management. We have two speakers today, myself from Laos PDR and Annie from Macau. We will start off shortly by the presentations, and after the two presentations we will open the floor for questions and comments. So please feel free to type down your questions on the chat box as the questions arrive or pop up in your mind. Also, if you would like to learn more about each of the topics, please feel free to contact our speaker directly or send me an email and I can connect you. Alright, without further ado, let's get started with the first presentation. It's feel weird, but I'm going to be introducing myself this time. So the first topic today will be from myself, and the case study is based in Laos PDR. Okay, let's get started. Thanks everyone for start typing down where you're from, appreciate it. So the topic of my thesis is really looking into achieving water and energy nexus, who and how to pursue it. So ladies and gentlemen, to achieve water and energy nexus, it is very important that we address the question of who and how to pursue it. To get water and energy sector to work together in managing urban wastewater in Vientiane, the capital city of Laos PDR, you need to use strategies appropriate for the context. And in this case, let's say we have 4 stakeholders. In the photo here, you see we have 4. We have the government as number 1, the civil society organizations or the NGO as number 2. The third one is donors. One is our water and great. So we have the majority of the vote goes to number 1, government. Very interesting. Thank you for that. So in this case, that's really bring me to the first strategy that I would like to share with you, and that is strategic networking. So it is very important that you know who your key stakeholder is, and then work with them and then try to persuade them. So that is really the key message of the strategic networking, which is the first strategy that I would like to share with you. Now, let's say the key stakeholder in this case is the government. Which of the following statement we should use to persuade this group? So you have a choice of 1, 2, and 3. So I'll leave you a bit of time to digest that statement, and then we'll do another vote that state you think? Let's try another voting. So which one do you think you're gonna go for? 1, 2, or 3? Wow. Okay. Excellent. So everyone's go for number 2. Well, I don't need to continue. Then you already know all the answer. That brings me to the next strategy, and that is about communicating. So now that you know who your stakeholder is, you need to know and understand their interests, their motive, and especially the language that they use, and then frame your message accordingly. That's it. Is it all about communicating? And then last but not least, it's about and in this case, demonstrated project to show working together. Why should the water and energy sector work together in managing urban wastewater? You need to be able to have a sample on the site that can demonstrate this. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the top 3 strategies highlighted from my research with stakeholders in Laos. The total strategy is actually 6. I'll bring that up in a minute. I have used them in one of my workplace and it works. I would like to encourage you to give it a try because these strategies are
Thank you, Van. Can everybody hear me? Okay, Van can hear me and the others? Okay, I think it's good now. Thank you, Van. And just an introduction of myself. I'm Annie from Macau, for those who don't know me. And let's wait a bit for the presentation to come up on the screen. So, okay. This is the title of my project, Applying the Southeast Queensland Healthy Waterways Model in Pearl River Delta, China, a business case approach. My supervisor was Dr. Wade Hadwin. And as you can see, there are a few keywords in my project. Southeast Queensland and the Pearl River Delta are 2 regions in Australia and China respectively. Business case approach was the expected research outcome. Healthy Waterways is where I've spent 1 month as an intern, and Macau Water is my employer. So this slide shows the geographical location of the 2 regions and some of the contextual differences. Obviously, they differ quite a lot in terms of demography and economy. Of course, water issues and problems in the 2 regions are not the same, and this project was trying to look at a business case approach, which is like a cost-benefit analysis, to adopt the Healthy Waterways model in the Pearl River Delta. Note the white circle here in the Moldalman estuarine region within the delta, and this is the area in focus for a workshop that I conducted. We'll discuss it later. So you may ask, what is Healthy Waterways, especially for those who are outside Australia? Healthy Waterways is a non-profit organization joining people together to form a partnership. As you can see from these pictures on the top left, it coordinates an aquatic monitoring and evaluation program and publishes an annual report card to communicate with the general public about what's going on with the waterways. It also initiates different actions to improve the current water management practices. For example, you can see the water by design on the top right. It's tackling the issue of sediment control in construction sites. And the whole lots of pictures underneath is showing how Healthy Waterways works on stakeholder engagement as well as community engagement. And the next slide here shows how I conducted my project. There were 5 main research topics, which finally comprised 5 sections of the report. The topics were supported by desktop review, a 1-month internship at Healthy Waterways, and an action research, which is actually a small workshop I conducted in Macau using the network provided by my employer. The workshop aimed to collect local perspectives to support a feasibility study, which I've mentioned before is the Mordarman Estuarine region. What I'm going to show you are some snapshots of each research topics. We cannot go into every detail, so just some snapshots to give you a taste. So the first research topic was the contextual differences between Southeast Queensland and Pearl River Delta. I compared different aspects, and institution was an important one. This was the illustration I made in order to show the similarity and the difference in power distribution in the two countries. And the second research topic was the dynamics between integrated water management and ecosystem health. I did a desktop research on the definitions and theories, and a comparative study on several case studies worldwide, including Healthy Waterways. As shown in the diagram, the main issue faced by the current practitioners is the gap between long-term ecosystem responses and short-term political expectations. And the third research topic was the conceptualization of the Healthy Waterways model. This was done by both desktop research and my own observation from the internship program. While it may look a bit arbitrary, I'd agree, and it's also a comment from one of the markers. I was just trying to link up all the important elements within Healthy Waterways so as to investigate how the model would sustain or even evolve by itself. And the fourth research topic was the preparation of the business case framework, which is actually the research product of this project. I did a comparative study again. I compared the different business cases built by Healthy Waterways and some frameworks from my desktop research. And this is my research product. It stressed on separating different actors when doing the cost-benefit analysis. And for the benefits part, it stressed more on value creation, but not just monetary valuation. So here comes the last research topic, which was the feasibility study. The method I used was action research. For those who are not familiar with action research, here is a simple definition. It is a research method to generate knowledge that is contextual and particular to that action, where the researcher is also an agent to make a difference, and thus calls for the researcher's capacity to reflect as an insider of the action and the research. With this method, I aimed to collect data as a researcher, of course, and at the same time reflect and look for ways to improve as an actor within the system. My action research revolved around the preparation and implementation of a workshop. So the next slide gives an example of what I did. We first discussed over a topic and some issues. Oh, excuse me. Wait. 係唔好意思，我而家忙緊啊，等一陣先啦，好唔好啊？拜拜。Oh, sorry for the interruption. I'm back. So back to the slide here. Well, here's an example of my workshop. We first discussed over a topic and some issues were generated and written on a flip chart. The participants then accessed an online poll by QR code with their mobile phones. Well, you may scan the QR code here on the slide if you have the phone by your side. I've deliberately opened a survey again. By scanning the QR code, you could see the polling page as shown on the slide. It was a Google form. I did it not because it looked fancy, but for the purpose of facilitating more discussion. So have anybody tried the QR code here? Or else I will go to the next slide. Okay, so this was what was behind the online survey, a Google spreadsheet. You see the formula here on the top. Once you preset all the formulae and charts in this spreadsheet, you can view the poll results with the participants right after the polling is done. It's how I facilitated the further discussion, and this was a good way to engage the participants too, when they were exposed to the viewpoints of others when they were still sitting together. So it's somewhat similar to what Van did just now. So this was the data collection part. There was also the self-reflection part, as I've mentioned. I did it by reflecting myself as myself personally, as the facilitator of the workshop, and as the researcher of the project, against the three purposes of the workshop. No details here again. With the limited time, I think it's just worth sharing the methodology. So conclusion. Well, it was a long way to a simple conclusion. Keyword is championship. It's really interesting how our projects are relating to each other. I remember Ben in the last webinar said top-down visionary was somehow more important than bottom-up approaches. And Van just talked about leadership. I would like to hear your opinions too, just after the presentation. And finally, some experience sharing in doing a research projects. If you are still a student, try to conceptualize and visualize. And that's what I've done during the presentation too, with all those illustrations. The second one is be self-directing. Of course, the supervisor is ready to help, but try to be your own director. That guarantees you can learn a lot on the way along. And to consider the reader. You see, my project was like a stir-fry, many topics, putting all together. What I did was summarizing the implications for the project after each research topic, so as to keep the readers staying on track. And last but not least, stay positive. It's hard, but it's worth. So thank you. That's what I'm sharing with you. So questions or opinions are welcome.
Great, thank you very much, Annie, for that. So we now open the floor for questions and answers. So if you have any questions, comments, feedback, please feel free to type on our chat box. And then we'll try our best to address your questions. Alright, we have one question for Annie. Championship is needed to drive the healthy waterways model in Pearl River. What needs to happen for championship to emerge? Over to you, Annie.
Okay, thanks, Van, and thanks, Brian, for the question. I may go back to this slide for the healthy waterways model. As you can see from the illustration here, championship is one of the drivers to move the model forward, and the other one is social needs. It quite corresponds to the top-down approach and bottom-up approach. So I think and that's what recommended in my project as well. The drivers which can drive what Pearl River Delta to adopt the healthy waterways model. One is championship, the other one is the social needs. And it all depends on how we can engage the society or the community in order to drive the social learning part. But it's rather tricky in the context of China. As you know, because the information flow is not so open in the country, and NGO like organizations like NGO cannot flourish in the land of China. I hope I somehow answered the question.
Thanks, Annie. I see Miss Stella is typing at the moment, so we'll wait a few seconds for that to pop up. That's great. I think I've been bribing all these people really well. No questions for me. There's another one for Annie. So as well, did you get some information directly from the government? And if so, was it hard?
For the general data, you can get it online. They are already online. And well, some of them are in Chinese. And for national data like data for the whole country, you can get it from the central government webpage too. It's no difficulty, just that you have to keep a critical eyes on the data. And well, for the data, it is already for on the internet. But for kind of, if you like to do some qualitative research, that could be tricky because you have to invite people for interviews or for some engagement processes like what I did. I tried to arrange a workshop with the network from my employer. And it's not easy because of the culture and because of some political issues. For example, I'm from Macau, which is a special administrative region, and it's rather tricky to invite officials in the mainland because it's two political systems somehow. So I hope I answer your question. And yes, if you need any help in getting data from China, I can help. You may just email me, and I can email the links to all those official website, giving all those statistical data.
Great. Thanks, Annie. Anyone else? Last chance? Just for those participants who are about to start your thesis as well, I would like to also say to you as well that it is going to be a hard journey, but it's going to be a lot of fun too. Personally, when I start my project, I actually changed 3 supervisors. And that's just an example to show that the proposal that you submit at the beginning can change, and it will change. So don't be dismotivated by that, and just keep going. Follow your heart, follow your brain, and also follow your gut feeling. Alright, seems like there's no more questions. That's easy. We're going to have an early night tonight then. So I hope you enjoyed the session and got some inspiration for your thesis for those who are about to start the journey. And thank you for all joining us today. So thank you so much for all of you who are joining us today. And please don't forget our next webinar will be on the 17th of October. We look forward to seeing you again. And let's make a difference in achieving sustainable water management starting right now. Thank you everyone and have a very good night. See you on our next webinar.